The Arizona sun burned across the open plains like a molten coin, turning the desert sand into shimmering gold. Rancher Luke Mallory wiped the sweat from his brow as he loaded hay onto his wagon. He lived alone, miles away from the nearest town, on a stretch of land that people said only a stubborn man, or a dead one, would claim. Luke preferred it that way. After losing his wife 3 winters ago, he had chosen silence over company, cattle over conversation, and distance over pain. The only talking he did was to his horses. But everything changed the morning he found the footprints. Small, bare, light enough to belong to someone young. They crossed the sand like a trail of ghosts and headed straight toward his ranch. Luke crouched, touching the marks. Apache, he muttered. And alone. That was strange. Apaches rarely traveled alone, especially their women. He followed the trail cautiously, rifle in hand. The prints led behind his barn, where the shade made a cool hiding place. Luke stepped quietly, ready for anything. Then he saw her. A girl, barefoot, wrapped in a worn deer hide cloth, skin sun-touched, hair wild as the desert wind, sat with her knees pulled against her chest. She looked no older than 18. Her eyes were sharp, dark, and filled with hunger and fear. When she noticed him, she shot up like a startled fawn. Luke raised a hand. "I won't hurt you." She hesitated, breathing heavily, ready to run. "You're lost," he said gently. "Hungry, too, I'm guessing." She stared at him, then nodded once, slow, guarded. Luke lowered his rifle. "Come to the house. I've got food and water." Her eyes widened slightly, surprised by his kindness. Apache women had been treated harshly around these parts, judged, rejected, feared. Most settlers wouldn't even let them near their fences. But Luke Mallory wasn't most men. The girl followed him warily, stepping lightly, like someone who had run too long and trusted too little. Inside the small wooden cabin, Luke placed a plate of cornbread, beans, and dried meat on the table. She sat stiffly, almost trembling, before devouring the food as if she hadn't eaten in days. "What's your name?" he asked. She swallowed hard, then spoke in a soft, accented voice. "Taya, Taya," he repeated. "Where's your family?" She paused. Her voice cracked. "Gone. My village burned. Soldiers." A tear fell, but she wiped it before it reached her cheek. "I ran. 2 days. No water. No tribe. No man. No one." Luke felt a pinch in his chest. Taya looked up at him suddenly, eyes fierce. "In my tribe, a woman alone dies. We live with our families. Our men protect us, teach us, hunt for us." She swallowed. "I cannot live without a man." Luke stiffened at her bluntness. She stood, stepping closer to him. "I will work, cook, clean, gather. I only ask, let me stay. 1 night, 2, until I find another place." Luke studied her. She was young, too young to be carrying the weight of a broken tribe. She wasn't begging to be a wife. She wasn't asking for romance. She was asking for survival. "You can stay," he said. "But you work because you choose to, not because you owe me." Taya nodded quickly, relief washing over her. And that was how it began. Days passed, then weeks. Taya moved through the ranch like a quiet shadow. She cleaned the barn, cooked simple meals, and learned how to carry water, chop wood, saddle horses. But more importantly, she healed. Luke watched her transform. Her fear faded, replaced by a quiet strength. Her movements became confident, graceful. She even smiled sometimes, small, shy smiles that disappeared as fast as they came. And Luke found his world warming again. The silence didn't feel so heavy anymore. The ranch felt alive. But one evening, everything changed. Luke had returned late from rounding up stray cattle when he heard a rustling near the corral. He grabbed his rifle and moved cautiously. Then he saw her, Taya, standing under the moonlight with her hands wrapped around her shoulders, trembling. Luke lowered his rifle. "Taya, what's wrong?" She breathed shakily. "I thought you were gone forever." He frowned. "I was just rounding cattle." "I know," she swallowed. "But when you didn't return, I remembered how I lost everyone before. I thought I would lose you too." Luke stepped closer, gentle. "You're safe here." Taya's lips trembled. "I don't want to be alone again." Her voice broke, raw and honest. "You gave me food, a roof, safety. You speak to me kindly. No man has ever treated me like that." She looked up at him with glistening eyes. "I said I can't live without a man. But that was not the whole truth. She stepped closer, her breath warm against his chest. I can't live without you. Luke's heart pounded. Taya, you don't owe. I owe nothing, she whispered. My heart chooses. Silence settled between them, deep, warm, fragile. Luke touched her cheek lightly, almost afraid she might disappear. You deserve a life, he said softly. A future. Not just a place to hide. And I choose it here, she said firmly. With you. But their peace didn't last. 3 riders appeared the next morning, U.S. cavalry scouts. Their horses kicked dust across the front yard as they stopped near Luke's porch. Morning, Mallory, the lead officer said. We're looking for a runaway Apache girl. Dangerous sort. Probably hiding somewhere. Luke felt his jaw tighten. Dangerous. She's a child. She attacked one of our men, the officer said. Drew blood. Taya, watching from behind the door, whispered urgently. It was self-defense. They tried. Her voice broke. They tried to take me. Luke stepped outside, blocking their view. You won't find anyone here, he said coolly. The officer glared. We'll search the property. Luke shifted his hand onto his revolver. This is private land. You step foot in my house without cause, you trespass on the law. Silence. Thick. Tense. Finally, the officer spit into the dust. Have it your way, Mallory. But the girl shows up, you send word. Orders from the fort. They rode away, dust swirling behind them. Taya rushed out, shaking. They will return. They will take me. Luke grabbed her shoulders gently. No one is taking you. Not while I draw breath. Her eyes widened, hope mixing with fear. You mean that? I do, he said firmly. Life changed after that. Taya became bolder, less afraid. She sang while she cooked. She braided her hair with desert flowers. She rode horses beside Luke, laughing when the desert wind whipped her hair back. One night, they sat by the fire, warm flames glowing between them. Taya whispered, I thought a man's strength came from muscle or weapons. She looked at Luke softly. But real strength is kindness. You taught me that. Luke swallowed. And you taught me how to feel again. Taya smiled, a real, beautiful smile. Then we saved each other. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and Luke wrapped an arm around her, not with possession, but with protection, warmth, and belonging. The future came quietly. Taya began calling the ranch our home. Luke began carving a second chair for the table. And the neighbors whispered. The rancher took in an Apache girl. Is she his wife? Will he marry her? But Luke didn't care about gossip. And Taya didn't care about rules. They only cared about each other. One morning, under a soft desert sunrise, Taya said, I once said I can't live without a man. She took Luke's hand. But now I know the truth. She placed his hand over her heart. I can live without many things. But not without the man who saved me. Luke felt his breath catch. Taya. Her eyes shone like polished obsidian. Let me stay, she whispered. Not as a guest. Not as a burden. As yours. Luke pulled her close, his voice low and steady. You already are. And so, the lonely rancher who once spoke only to horses. And the Apache girl who thought she couldn't survive alone. Found a home, a future, and a heartbeat in each other. A love carved from dust, danger, and destiny. A Wild West story whispered for generations.